Part 2. Wait, hold on. Do I still need to review this thing?
No! Oh, please, God, no!
Thunder, feel the thunder, lightning and the thunder.
Number 2, the story. The story in this movie feels like it was written by a 12-year-old who was given 2 hours to write the entire film. In other words, the story sucks. So the story is Larry is having dreams that a lava monster from the Percy Jackson movies is going to destroy Asgard. So Larry needs to stop that from happening. But then Hela shows up. Then all of a sudden they don't even mention Ragnarok for the entire movie until the last 10 minutes. But in the meantime, Larry and the Hulk spend the entire second act just goofing around and talking about stupid stuff.
Oh, that's naked. He's very naked. That's in my brain now.
This shows that the writers of the movie had a beginning and an ending in mind, and then they realized they didn't know what they wanted to happen in between, so they decided to just have the characters just sort of stand around and talk about the most random stuff.
What are you doing? Stop doing that.
Tony wears his pants super tight.
This makes the audience believe that there are no real stakes and that we shouldn't worry because everything will be fine. What should be happening is the characters should be constantly reminding themselves that they have very little time left and that they need to move fast. Doing this gives a sense of urgency and makes us worried about whether our heroes will be able to make it in time. This is what people call a movie. Now, I would also like to point out that everyone talks about how this film changed the Thor movies or fixed the Thor movies. But when I asked them what needed fixing in the first place, no one can give me a good reason other than it was so funny. Well, I hate to tell you this, but just because the movie is funny, which it isn't, doesn't make a film good. It's just sugar coating on a cake, but if you have cake that is only sugar, then you don't have a complete cake. I would now like to point out that the plot of this film is actually just a lazier version of the first. Don't believe me? Just look and see. A reckless main protagonist who only sees half the picture.
That's pride and vanity talking, not leadership. You've forgotten everything I taught you. But a warrior's patience. Even when you had 2 eyes, you'd see only half the picture.
A main character discovering a problem that he tries to fix that creates extreme consequences.
While you wait and be patient, the 9 realms laugh at us. The old ways are done. You'd stand giving speeches while Asgard falls. You know, I've been having this reoccurring dream lately. Every night I see Asgard falling to ruins. But then I decide to go out there and investigate. And what do I find but the 9 realms completely in chaos? Enemies of Asgard assembling, plotting our demise, all while you, Odin, the protector of those 9 realms, is sitting here in your bathrobe eating grapes.
Our main character being banished with no special powers to a foreign planet with strange people.
Hammer?
Please.
Our hero being tased and then held in some secure place.
You dare threaten me, Thor, with so puny a weapon? Thank you. Possible.
That person that takes him in is a lady who helps him out later.
Hey, you still need a lift?
So I'm saying that I want to be on the team.
A villain who is the sibling of the main character that wants to become the ruler so they can use the Bifrost to destroy our main character returning to Asgard to fight the villain on the Rainbow Bridge. The protagonist learning to unlock their true power by it being revealed to him by Odin.
Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.
I'm not as strong as you.
No, you're stronger.
Our main character realizes he must destroy/sacrifice something in order to save the day.
What have I done? You saved us from extinction. Asgard is not a place. It's a people.
And the thing about movies is, if your script sucks, then at least you need to have... Number 3, the characters. Now, I could go on and talk about how every character in this movie is wrong, but I will just cut it down to the main 4. Let's talk about the worst character in the entire film, Larry. Never in my life have I seen a character that I just wanted to punch in the face.
You're not the guy that hammers. You're Dumbo.
Doesn't sound like a compliment.
It's totally a compliment. Dumbo, Dumbo,
This sounds like you're calling me Dumbo over and over again.
Dumbo.
Please don't take this the wrong way. Chris Hemsworth is a perfectly fine actor when he isn't doing comedy. I mean, just look at this guy. Does he look like the kind of character that would be the comedic relief? I'm getting off track here. This guy's supposed to be Thor, but just by looking at him, you can tell that this isn't the case. However, that is not the problem. The problem is the fact that he acts like a completely different character. Like, I don't mean he has some small changes or differences, no. I mean a completely different character. Thor in all the previous films was a powerful, war-crazed warrior who was ready to hit things at any moment's notice. But he also talked in old-fashioned English. Just watch these 2 scenes of what is supposed to be the same character.
We're not your enemy's banner. Try to think. Banner. Hey, Banner. No banner, only Hulk. What are you doing? It's me. Thor.
Notice in the first clip, he is trying to change Hulk back to Banner so he could save the people on the helicarrier, but in Thor Ragnarok, he is just trying to save his own skin. And also notice the way he says them. In Avengers, he says it like a character, but in Ragnarok, he says it like Chris Hemsworth. You see, not once when watching the movie did I feel like I was watching a character. I just saw Chris Hemsworth improvising. This is very obvious when he starts using human swear words despite never doing this before.
And I don't give a about your games.
Which makes you think he knows nothing about the character, which is probably true, but actually it's just he doesn't care. In fact, the entire reason this haircut was even added was because Chris Hemsworth kept whining that the wig took too long to put on. Chris Hemsworth, playing Thor, complains that he actually looks like the character he signed up to play! I'm getting distracted. I've noticed a pattern in these MCU movies is that every character needs to be quippy like Iron Man. Just like at Doctor Strange, he's basically just magic Iron Man. My point is that just because you make a character like Iron Man doesn't make the movie good. Just because people think it's funny, they are okay with it. But let me ask you something. If all of a sudden Tony Stark became a serious guy who never made a joke and never smiled, would you like it? No, because that is not how he's supposed to act. So why is it okay with Larry/Thor? Well, most audiences don't actually care about the character themselves. They just care about if they're funny or if they have the coolest power. For example, I've never met another person who thinks Batman is the best superhero. When I ask why, they say, oh, he has no powers. Oh, he is just so serious. Oh, his outfit isn't very colorful. This does not make a character. These are little traits of one, but they don't make an actual character. Anyways, let's move on.
Your savior is here.
Ah, yes, Loki. He used to be one of the better MCU villains due to entertaining complex nature, cleverness, and interesting backstory, but when we get to Thor Ragnarok, it felt like the writers forgot what made him interesting, or they just couldn't think of anything for him to do, so they decided that they would just kind of make him the butt of all jokes, or just a punching bag of sorts.
Hey, let's do get help. Never one for sentiment, were you?
Easier to let it burn.
I agree. Dear brother, becoming predictable.
In fact, if you were to take him out of the movie, it wouldn't make any difference. I'm not even joking. Just think, what does he do in the movie that affects the plot, story, or even characters in any way? Why do you think they killed him off in like the first 30 seconds of Infinity War?
No resurrections this time.
Spoilers! The Hulk is famous in the comics for being the strongest superhero of all time. He once clapped his hands so hard that all reality was nearly destroyed. He has lifted Thor's hammers in the comics out of sheer strength despite not being worthy. He has even broken Thor's hammer a number of times and has only died one time in comic history, but even then he came back in like the next page. Even in the comic Infinity Gauntlet, he is the only hero left alive. But in the movie... he even gets his butt handed to him in Infinity War in like 3 seconds.
What?
The main problem with Valkyrie is we know almost nothing about her other than she's a gay Valkyrie whose girlfriend was killed by Hela, and, well, we know she's an alcoholic who captured the Hulk and made him fight in Gladiator Arena somehow. It isn't really explained. In fact, she is so forgettable that she isn't mentioned or seen in Infinity War at all. Wait a sec, who was I talking about?